Okay, now I'll shut it up.
There's quite the glare on the bottom of the screen.
That was it.
I'll try to behave when meeting tonight.
Okay, you ready?
That's pretty funny. I'm looking at that list over there, and one of the things written there is adult films.
No,
I think
So we're seeing,
Fine.
Oh.
I think it says fitness.
You said it already. Jenna's waiting for you to say it.
it says fitness.
Oh, it says
Oh,
fitness?
fitness.
Fitness.
Wow.
I thought watching it all, we'll start in a
Focus on
second.
entertainment, adult films.
You know what? Somebody's gonna be watching this.
I doubt it.
It's certain now.
Yeah. We'll disappoint them, it'll be really boring after that.
Is Leah coming to you on the present?
I did not hear from you.
Okay, we'll just tell me where she might be able to.
Do you want me to send her a text? real quick?
Do you need, oh, I'll wait.
Were you on this before?
Years ago,
Like, well, maybe when I was in 97,
Yes,
98?
yes.
I think so.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow, yeah. And now we're both back.
and we're both back. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were a little, with a little more wisdom. Bring forward.
And I don't have a little baby anymore.
Yes,
sitting
that's right.
on a blanket.
Okay, and everybody look at the agenda. Any changes?
But, we're supposed to review the
Agenda,
staff report.
well, not yet, just the agenda for
General.
tonight. That should be in front of you hopefully.
The agenda, don't, oh, that's on the Forestry.
Okay, you have tonight's stuff?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Okay, need a
Motion is.
motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, last month's minutes?
So go ahead and just call for the vote, just so we make it official.
Oh,
Yes,
all in favor?
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, passes.
Good
I
work.
used to forget to do that as the mayor. When Robert would say, you've got to ask for that visa.
Yeah.
Okay, February's minutes. Any changes?
Just a clarification, so that, when number 9, Commissioner comments, volunteer hours, just for my benefit, is that, what does that entail? If we read the minutes and went over the agenda before we came to this meeting, does that time include it? Okay, or if we're out planting trees, obviously, so anything that's related to the commission work. Is there a form that we need to fill out, or we just make a report at the end of the meeting?
That's usually what we do. I automatically record the time here for the meeting, but if you have hours outside of that, yeah, that's what that's for. Let me know if I can find. Motion to approve February's agenda?
So moved.
Second? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Continue approved. We'll have any public comments on stream.
We're not taking anything from Facebook, people, but it's,
I don't, there's nothing new.
Yeah.
so.
Okay, old business.
emergency operations
Operations plan.
Just, you can help me, Teresa, but us, you talked about how we had kind of some climate action plan discussion, and then the city council adopted a set of city manager priorities like they do every year. And in that mentions an emergency operations plan update. Hasn't been updated since people listed their own personal names and phone numbers. So, hey, if the ditch is overflowing, call Robert, kind of thing. this number? It's really old. So the city council has prioritized that as something that they want to update, so they'll likely fund consultants to do that work and do an RFP and do the whole process to update the plan. So as a part of that update, you will be engaged in the part of storm recovery and response and any other portions that Teresa and I can see that you need to have input on. So we talked about a variety of things, but mostly stay tuned.
So Leah told me about this last fall, when I knew that I was transitioning off the council and I wanted to get back on. She sent me a link to the climate action plan for Moscow Island.
We all saw that, I think, right?
Yeah, and I didn't go through the whole thing, it's pretty extensive. It seems to be a lot different than what we're talking about here.
Sorry, let me explain that. So the reason is, this group, so the city manager said, not yet. First, we need to do this, and then we can have that discussion.
Okay,
So this group requested that, the city manager said, not yet, so now we focus on this,
okay,
basically. So it's sort of waiting for a year or two, and then, because that talks about like vehicle use and talks about tools, it talks
Yeah.
about all kinds of different things.
yeah, and my take is it's gotta be a willing council. Because even though we could initiate it, the council would be the one to adopt and direct and provide resources. And so it may or may not ever transition the way that council action plan from Moscow. I mean, that's the reality. Unless we get rid of the people in the council.
It's really based on the community too, so, those kind of action plans really vary from city to city.
Yep.
Okay, so we will be gearing up for our spring tree planting program. Right now, I think I've got about 47 trees on my list. They won't all go in on our community tree planting day, that's probably more than we can handle. I had kind of hoped that maybe we could do it on Saturday, April 22nd, that's actually it was today. That was before it started snowing constantly. So the other option is to wait and bump it out to the Saturday after Arbor Day, which would be May 6th, I think, is that correct?
And currently, we have it scheduled for April 29th.
Yeah, well,
Tentatively.
tentatively, yeah, and then that's why I sent out that email, because I said, wait a minute, the 29th is the day after Arbor Day, and that's really a lot to get accomplished in that week.
So you wanted to do it the week before.
The week before or the week after?
Okay.
The week before would be great, just because that's Earth Day, and that would be a nice tie-in. And so it just kind of depends on if the weather lets up enough that I can get out and mark locates and get that. So I don't know if you guys have any preferences one way or the other. I don't mind waiting until May 6th. Maybe, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, no.
Yeah, I have it,
You're available.
I have it from, based on the conversation we had last month as the 6th.
Okay,
And I think that's because we were all, we were still looking at this crappy weather.
right.
And, at this point, this stuff is supposed to go into early April.
Yeah, so if that's good with you guys, maybe we'll just firm that up for May 6th for
Okay.
the camping day.
How many trees?
Well, I've got 47 trees on my list that've got to go in this, they don't have to go in this spring. We can always bump till fall. I just want to let you know that we do have a lot of trees lined up. I also want to let you know that we'll be planting trees at Odell.
Oh, nice.
Real trees?
Real
How'd you do
trees.
that?
Real
How'd
trees.
you do that?
Well, it was, they wanted to build a new building, and that triggers new ordinance.
It's too bad that those old trees had to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So will they be in that right away?
Yeah, there'll be 7 trees to replace the pine, they're gonna be, oak and tulip trees.
Woohoo!
And then there'll be 2
Real
new,
trees.
two new trees in front of where they built the sauna shop.
Great.
And they'll be good.
Which is on that
They'll,
north-south
they'll still
road.
be in the
Interesting.
line with the ones
Yeah.
in front of
So
them.
you're gonna have stuff on Island Avenue, and and then you'll have stuff on their entry road
Yeah.
going back. Nice.
So, yeah,
Well, isn't that sweet?
yeah,
It'll be
yeah,
neat to see how the tulip pump is too.
yeah, it will. I think they'll do fine. I've planted a few around town and they've done pretty well.
Yeah, they're beautiful trees.
Yeah,
When they get older, man.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, so, great. So
And
we'll
they
plan
plan
on,
on, you guys go.
yes, well, the gentleman that Mike and I were working with, he was having a hard time comprehending why trees have to go in on ODOT's private property. Because, how,
There we go. That's
Yeah.
public.
well,
The weird, it's ours.
that was my input, but that didn't fly. Anyway, but the way the ordinance reads is, when you do a major development, you have to have trees, when space allows. And if they can't use fruit trees, they can be on private property.
So even the strip in front of their property is not right away?
It would be ODOT right away,
ODOT, right now.
not city. right away.
Well, I
I
mean,
know.
But
Isn't that
that's-
ridiculous?
that's their point.
Who, was it Ace? Was it Ace Clark?
No,
Probably the guy I wrote.
it might have been, but anyway, he has since moved to a different position. And so I've been working with Shelby Stout, and she's been much more amenable.
Okay.
And so, yeah. But, it basically just came down to, they want not to give approval, building permits approval without the landscaping.
well, I mean,
Right on.
if that's a building requirement. If you're a
That's
private
right.
owner or, residence or your business, it doesn't matter. Your state, you gotta follow those requirements.
And this is what we talked about last month, about some of those
Yeah.
ordinances. That was already in there, but that's why it's important to keep those.
And do they already have water out there?
They do on where the pine trees were, and they are gonna be putting irrigation on the other side too. But, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna say May 6th for sure on the planting day, that way I can just get that publicized. Planting program.
I would love to be involved in planting this.
Well, and that's what I told Shelby too, because I want to make that, I don't know if we want to make that a separate event from our actual community tree planting day. It's kind of what I was leaning toward, do a regular tree planting day and then maybe make that, but it depends on how this shakes out. We may just make that like our last stop of the day. Everybody group there and we plant the ODOT trees, pictures and all that.
And then jumper can cake.
So, yeah, it
Deadlock, that was his name.
Deadlock, yeah, no, and that's not who I don't think that's.
Okay,
one
that's
of my-
who I.
He's like the next guy up, yeah. The interesting thing is that ODOT has a new person in the position, I can't remember the name of the position, but it's their climate person.
Uh-huh.
And she's actually also now joined the board of community trees. Great. And so I think maybe there's going to be some movement by ODOT to do a little more tree planting, we'll see. That's great. Anywho,
Yeah, cool. Nice work, thank you.
Yeah.
patience.
Arbor monthly posters.
Okay, so I've got the classroom visits are done. I visited the 12 fourth and fifth grade classes. All of them except Greenwood's fifth grade class never participates. I don't know why. I did this for the fourth grade class. Our theme this year was Healthy Trees, Healthy Meat. And the kids seemed pretty receptive to that. It was a nice little presentation. So they have until March 24th, which is the Friday before spring break. So that's the deadline. So I'll be going back on Friday, the 24th, to pick up the posters. So then I'll be emailing you guys to let you know that, hey, posters are here. You can come check it out. So you guys judge the poster contest. And so what I do is I bring the posters here. They're grouped by class. You just go through them and pick your top three. And then after you guys have done that, then I just collate that opportunity to see that.
Top three of all, from each
From
class?
each class.
Okay,
Yeah, we pick a winner and 2 honorable mentions from each class, so
Okay.
that's why we asked for the top 3.
And when will we do that?
That will be, I would like to be able to do it before April 1st. I know that's over spring break. But what I've done in the past with Robert, because he couldn't be here last year, Thursday, look at the posters, 1 year. What I did is I just took photos of everything. Because what we do is we hang them up in the library. And so I just took a photo of all the posters by class, sent it to Robert so that he could look at it and give his input.
Can you make it on, I feel like I was on the chair taking pictures.
Yeah,
I
well,
guess
what,
I'll have to do that.
okay.
We might.
well, I'm leaving Thursday and not back until not the evening of the 29th. So 3 days of September, so I have March 30th, 31st, and it would be tight.
That's doable. If it works for you, fine. What I'll do is I'll wait until, because Oregon Arbor Month starts April 1. And so that's kind of our goal, is to have the posters up throughout the month of April. So I will plan on hanging the posters April 1. If you can make it here for input before that break, if not, I can photograph them once they're up.
Yeah, we're just trying to, okay, so we're back to Wednesday, and I'll have Thursday and Friday. It'll be a push.
How many classes are there?
If I can't get in here the Thursday and Friday after I get back hanging, and then I'll just go, and if they're hung in the library by class, then I can just go in there and say, all right, third from the right, that would be.
Oh, yeah, that's true too, if you'd like to do it that way. that
Because then I can walk in the library and just hang out, look at the wall.
I know the one year Stu was helping me take pictures of them to forward to the commission because, I can't remember why. But anyway, it was not well organized. I was having heck with trying to keep them straight. So, yeah, it was easier just to get them hung up and then take the picture.
Did Grandma and Kevin?
They did not. They did not this year, so I don't know.
Which schools?
Central Island City and Toledo.
Or is there any criteria on the posters?
Yes, the poster contest rules are you can use marker crayons, pencil, ink, anything except no photos of computer generated art. It has to relate to the contest theme, which is healthy peace, healthy living. You have to have that title on the poster. Spelling is supposed to count. I'm going to be thoughtful on that. The most important thing is they have to have their first name, last name, and teacher's name on the poster. And again, if it's an outstanding poster and all it says is Sarah, I will do some footwork, to choose that one to try and figure out. But I do ask that they try to get this.
Could you send us an email with those in there?
Absolutely. If you're interested in the presentation, I can send you the whole thing. It's just a PowerPoint. If you care to see it, what I could do is I could put the link to it on my Google Drive because it's too big to send as an email. But yeah, if you want to see it, you're welcome to. And yes, I will give you the poster content.
That'll be helpful when I'm standing there looking at them going, okay, did they do all these
Yeah.
things?
And
And then it becomes less
The other thing I can
subjective.
do, what I'll just do is I will send you the handout that I give to each student.
Okay,
And what it has, it's got the poster contest rules on one side, and then it has what we talked about on the other side. And that'll give you an idea of what I was thinking about and what I'm hoping you're thinking about. So yeah, that's a great idea. I will do that.
Listen to them,
Okay, I will do that. Yeah, because then you'll kind of know what the whole point of this year's theme was. Great, anything else for that? Oh, Arbor Month. So the other thing that we then need to think about is the field day. And so that will be, so we'll be doing the field day on National Arbor Day, which is April 28th. That's a Friday. We're going to do it the same way we did the last couple of years, where Central comes in the morning with 6 classes, Green would not, Island City come in the afternoon, and vice versa with 6 classes. And we're going to have
April 28th.
that's Friday, yeah. And 6 classes is enough
Yeah.
cacophony to
yeah,
make you walk out of the pavilion.
right.
It worked really well last year.
It is.
Stations.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll do that
Oh,
same,
yeah.
we'll do that same thing, and so you guys, what I'll do is I'll email you out and find out, who's gonna be able to participate. The stations that I'm thinking, what we do, Steve, is we try to relate the stations to whatever the theme was this year.
Yeah.
And so we talked about how trees and people help each other, basically. And so, of course, we always have one tree planting station. I'm thinking of doing,
Can we do more stuff?
well, we'll work on it.
Stressful, very
It was,
stressful.
yeah, it was very high paced.
We'll work on
So
that.
having to explain planting a tree and planting a tree.
Oh, wow.
But you don't have to plant, we have 12
It was
classes,
interesting. but they
and we
were
may
fun.
not have 12 kids, so, but I'm gonna work on that. So, yeah, the tree planting, a station on, a little bit about $2, you have to go, because that was one of the points, is we need to know a little bit about trees, in order to take care of them. A station, and this one I pumped it out, a station on soil science, where they're gonna do a little soil science experiment. And Stu had a suggestion, which is also part of the presentation, is one on trees and healthy food. I haven't quite figured out what we're gonna do with that, but that's gonna be one of the stations. Oh, and then field days. We always have one station where you just run around and burn up energy.
Well, because I showed up to that one last year. It was it,
Yeah,
Right over here.
Yeah,
right over here, and then you turned them loose
yeah,
and they burned up some energy.
yeah. So it's been working pretty well. I haven't, I'm thinking Riverside Park this year, but I'll get those details down.
We have any trees to plant there.
Well, I need to talk to Stu about that, because the parks are going, no more trees. And so I'm thinking about maybe the greenway, but we have a lot going on with the greenway, so I need to talk to Stu about that.
The Riverside Greenway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but as soon as we get that nailed down, I'll let you guys know. It would be nice if we could do 12 trees and have one for each class. I was kind of leaning toward the possibility of maybe working with Sandy, and rather than having actual full-size shade trees that we're planting, getting some hundreds of kind of seedlings to do along the greenway.
No, not this year, because it's coming up too fast, but we should talk to the Friends of Lad Marsh and Kyle Martin and company out of the marsh, because they do tree planting out there. And it would be kind of, and we've been talking about doing some educational stuff. This would give us, we could write for a small grant, get buses and get the kids out there. And that would, we're 501c3.
That would be great, because one of the things on my list of future, theme ideas is trees for the birds.
Oh,
And
that
we
would
could
be
build bird
perfect.
houses,
Yeah.
and we could plant trees out there, so maybe next year.
Yeah, and in April, the Tule Lake Auto Route is open, so you could stage it near the pit toilet, and they have a basement.
That would be great.
Yeah. So, and that would give us time to write for grants, so let's talk about this after all of this takes place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, and we've had money from Wild Horse, and Friends of Lad Marsh has had it, I wasn't involved, but we've been talking about how do we do more stuff.
I love that, that's great,
Okay.
we could maybe get one of the wildlife biologists to come out.
Yep, and our board would be stoked about something like that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will get more details about this year's field day to you as we get them nailed down. But if you want to put that date on your calendar, April 28th, it will be from, all the school day,
92-ish.
92-ish. That's all I have, yes. New business. So pruning workshop, we had talked before about doing another pruning workshop with the commission. And we had tentatively had put it for December, and then people were busy and it didn't really work out really well, and so we bumped it out. So I don't know if that's something that you guys still would like to do. I'm kind of a fair weather pruner. I like just not prune in the snow. So the other option is bump it way out beyond tree planting and Arbor Day and do it in the summer. But we don't meet in the summer, so that would be an above and beyond thing for you guys if you want to do that.
We do the summer beautification works.
We do, yeah.
Maybe we can make a donation where we beautification, where cruise around and green.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of trees that need pruning from that storm last November. I see a lot of broken limbs. Some of them are, yes, and some of them are hard to get to, but I'd be stoked. I mean, I can never get pruning done. I don't feel like I can.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, we'll plan on that for this summer then. And it would keep kicking that can down the road, but summer seems to, other than watering trees, kind of
Yeah.
slowing down a
We did the
little bit.
last summer, didn't we? It was the
It
season
was
before.
the summer before, yeah. Okay, that's all I've got for that.
So yeah, I'll walk you through the budget request there in front of you. It's, of course, I don't have a copy of it. So from the budget in there it is, this is educational plus you have a chance to weigh in if we forgot something. So all the commissions get to ask for whatever projects you have in mind. So I'm gonna walk you through this and then we'll talk about the budget process a little bit. So the major objectives are just in the budget document, and the narrative is what it's called. And I'm not gonna read those, they're just sort of standard operating procedures that council or budget committee may or may not know that we do. The revenue isn't current, that's from this current fiscal year, so that'll go up, of course. But just for your information, street and roads pay for about half of our, cost for staff benefits and things like that. Urban renewal is a downtown, zone that there's a boundary for urban renewal. And Teresa takes care of the trees that are taken care of within that are billed to the urban renewal program. So that could be up to $5,000 in a year or more. That's just an estimate. And other fees and charges like the street tree, we charge $40 for the street tree, right? So that goes in the revenue account line. We charge like $100 for the tree services, 50 or something like that.
Depending on whether they're certified or.
Yeah, so we have our little fees and charges, but they don't add up too much. So I don't have the total revenue amount in front of you because that's not what we're really asking for tonight to input on. That's just something that's part of the process.
And then the other revenue increase the OTEC, the new
Right.
replacement program.
Yep, thank you. So this year's request, M&S means materials and services. You can see this upcoming year, we try to be very fair and balanced with our budget requests. So this is general fund request. This is just materials, right? And so you can see it's about $3,800 more, this next year. That includes everything from copies to website to Teresa buying trees. Everything and everything else in between to make that, department, or that, section run. So the reason I put grants and donations approximate balance is that's a running account that we have that was, it's from various things in the past, but there's a balance there. That's a balance that can be used for, flexible spending on anything to supplement that 28,000 that you want. We have, that's where we spent the tree inventory, like we bought the tree inventory software from that money. We planted trees with that money. That's sort of discretionary for you guys to talk about, and that doesn't need to be, that doesn't change. I can't ask for more, right? That's the balance of that account about, right? It's just for your information, so you know in the future, I really want to do this cool project. How do we pay for it? Well, there's money to pay for things that are extra. And then the ridge trees was an interesting thing. When they put in the ridge development, they prepay for trees. Because of that ordinance requirement, they have to have trees, right?
No, what's this?
Right above Birdie Park, of B Avenue.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
So what's cool about that is, over the years, we've planted trees as houses have gone in and developed, and, that tree money has come from the developer, from when they did the lot lines. That money will be spent out this year. Teresa's, Right, that's what we're talking about next year, 24, fiscal year 24, so that will be, that'll be exhausted. So that's just a transfer. The way that works is it goes from this account into the general fund revenue line, into the expense budget, so then it kind of cancels itself out. So it just adds $4,600 to that 28,825, basically.
But that's pretty targeted.
Yeah, very good.
4,600, it has to go in that ridge line development.
Yeah.
How does that work in a development like that? So the developer pays in this amount,
They had
but
a-
then each house
Yeah, they
decides
had
on
bonds, they bonded for it, so that they didn't have to plant the trees as the sidewalks were developed. The trees go in as the houses are built, and they bonded for that based on a number that I gave them of what it would cost us to get the trees and put them in.
but each house gets to choose whatever they want.
No.
No, it's all, okay.
Well, that's not true. I try to get people choice, I always try to get people choice, but it has to be a, class 1 or class 2 tree, or the terrible, horrible, narrow little thing.
But there's no overhead lines.
But there's no overhead lines, which would have been a perfect opportunity to make a curbside sidewalk.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's beyond that.
And materials and supplies, that doesn't include tools?
Yes.
It does.
That's great, basically everything except my salary and benefits, that everything else is in there.
So it's jumping the gun a bit, but I think we and Steve in passing and talked about this, but we're gonna be doing the emergency operations plan, storm cleanup. And,
Let's get a chipper.
yeah, let's get a chipper.
That would be,
That
what's
we
that
could,
called?
Even a used one would be a good one that you could,
a good used one's
Like to take
$25,000.
line. Buying big things.
So, yeah.
I can't remember what it's
I'm wondering, because there's a bunch of chip piles out by the bike path entrance point.
Isn't the tree company doing that?
Yeah, the tree company, anytime they do work in the brand, they have to bring us the check.
Okay,
And those are for to put in the parks and.
okay, so that's why those piles are growing.
And then we do lease their chipper from them when we need it, right?
We just get it for free.
Yeah,
The county.
the county.
So-
Well, the county. Well, I guess then that would be,
So we have unlimited access because they never use it. I just called the county and say, hey, we need to pick up the chipper today, and
so, like, a real.
So we have-
Our storm response.
Yeah, and proper, but we don't need to have that so much.
So this is the 28.8 is what you put in for this year's budget. You know, fiscal year is July to June.
and so that's why it's called 24, because it ends in 24.
Yeah, so it's a 23-24 budget. Has the city manager approved your budget yet?
I haven't looked at it.
Okay,
So this is simply submitted at this stage. It's time to get input from you all
Right.
and change what we need to change, because we have lots of time to change it.
Right.
Then we all, staff meets with city manager, finance director, and go through it all, and then explain this. Just for fun, I'll tell you overall, the Parks and Rec budget overall, which includes parks, recreation, aquatics, and urban forestry. So we're budgeting for $30,000 more in revenue because of our post-COVID increase in program participation. We're talking about M&S requests of about $20,000 more, and also reserve account requests for different equipment, which would be things like playgrounds and boilers and turf and things like that. So anyway, the total request is $50,000 more, but given that revenue is $30,000, it's really only $20,000 extra request. And in a budget of 1.4 million total, I feel like we're being pretty responsible to council and to the budget committee with that request. And there's also some uncertainty with wages because all the bargaining groups are up right now, as well as there's an Equal Pay Act consultant happening where they're evaluating all the positions and trying to align them with market and other variables. So that's all happening.
The 25.5 from streets and roads and the 5 from urban renewal, does that pay your salary and benefits?
No, well, it's just part of the pot is what from what I understand.
All we're talking about is the M&S, because
Okay.
payroll, personnel is completely separate
Okay, all right.
over here. So we don't worry about
But that revenue, it goes into
It does.
your overall budget.
Mhm.
Okay.
Public Works gets billed out for part of the salary
Okay.
benefits. Exactly. You got it.
Is that 3,000 increase enough? For
That's right.
inflation?
That's why you guys are weighing in.
Well, I guess we, to weigh in, we just looking at the numbers, this is also what we're doing.
Right.
Well,
She
the
can-
increase, the 3,000 increase covers the increased cost of trees, because they just keep going up.
Mhm.
And then, the other was for a new tablet that I do the tree inventory on, because my tablet is no longer supported,
Oh,
so I can't
it's
get.
that old, huh?
It's not that
Like,
old.
I know, I'm waiting,
I guess
I'm
it
waiting
is.
for Apple to say, no, I'm not gonna update this
Yeah, so I'm
iPad
there.
5 anymore, you know?
So that's what the increases were for trees and a new tablet.
That, you know, I do the percentage stuff, that's a 14, almost a 15% increase for, year over year for the materials and supplies. Tree costs, obviously, this last year has been killer for inflation, so everything's going up. So, you know, I think you can justify that you've got, you know, 6 to 7% just of inflation.
Yeah.
So of that 14%, you know, you've got maybe 8% that you're actually increasing. And that could just be general prices going up, so.
And this is
Again, it's like,
Teresa's recommendation for the budget.
Yeah.
And she went through line by line and updated all of it. And that's what I was trying to show you, but, I have to do some stuff. But anyway, long story short, she's already vetted it. It's a great question. I think mostly the discussion is there a project that you want to focus on in that time frame that we haven't thought about? Or sort of business as usual?
We don't know what this actually.
So same thing, 100 street trees, it's gonna pay for 100 trees, it's gonna pay for, some miscellaneous tools and other, you know, her training stuff, copier,
IT,
phones,
yeah.
yeah, all the things.
how much do you typically spend on Arbor Month and Arbor Day type of activity?
You know, so I have one line item called departmental supplies, and that's probably, after trees, that's probably my next biggest thing, and that's where I bill everything for Arbor Day. And so I would say between buying poster contest prizes and miscellaneous supplies, probably in the neighborhood of $600.
Okay. And the reason I asked is that, you know, kind of jumping back to something we talked about earlier about the partnership with Friends of Lab Marsh,
Mhm.
which would be in the 23-24 budget year. You know, do you think that we need to add any more, you know, put $600, $1,000 towards a little bit bigger event, just based on,
There might be more busing fees, just because usually, depending on the park we're at, one of the schools blocks.
right,
So the busing fees would go up, certainly.
right. Well, that would be the, you know, I think busing fees would be the big thing that we would go for grant money for.
Yeah.
And I don't believe, did they eat lunch at the park last year?
They bring their own lunches.
Everything,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's the deal. The first group comes and generally either eats their lunch there and then goes, or goes back to school, eats lunch, and then the second group comes and eats lunch, and then does the thing. So that's kind of up to them. I mean, when we did Future Stewards Day, the city actually provided the lunch, which, you know, is an option. I mean, it's much harder to do in the outdoor setting. We were at Liberia, so it's pretty easy to get hot dogs and give them a package.
I'm just gonna push pause, because we're getting really into each other.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is, if you guys can, other than the normal sorts of activities like we do in the spring and the fall, tree plantings, the Arbor Day stuff, the outreach to schools, is there anything that you guys kind of can see on the horizon?
No, I can't, but I'm pretty new to this. And what I would say, Teresa, you've gone through this, and you think this is budget enough to do the things you need to do in anticipating some of the cost increase?
Yeah, I
Then I'm
didn't have
fine.
the Lad Marsh thing on my radar, but if we're looking at grant money.
Yeah, I wouldn't, yeah,
And
I
then we
would let the,
also have this grant and donation
So
Yeah.
the education workshops that Leah mentioned, did those,
Those would be, no, those would be free, that's something ODF does, yeah. There wouldn't be a cost associated with that.
Sounds like maybe doing bird houses too.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah, if we did something next spring,
I love that idea.
and there might be some cost for materials, but I think if we do a grant, we would ask for all of those things.
I think also, I work with Millers and we just got that out like Calhoun, LC, and so they're big about writing in the community. And they would not have a problem donating any sort of
Cool.
material costs for bird houses.
And
Cool.
what's the name of that company?
TAL, TAL Holdings LLC.
TAL LLC. Holdings, Tal Holdings.
TAL Holdings.
Is it an Asian company?
No, so it's the Tumlong family.
Come on.
And they had 25 stores, they bought our two at LeGrand and Baker, but we're considering a trust plant and our cabinet shop is 2 other stores, so there's 29 total stores. Oregon, Washington, Montana, Idaho.
Good for them.
Yeah.
And good for Mill.
So they're gonna want pictures, want me to send pictures to them about the Arbor Day and the tree planting and everything else. They're building better communities as part of their.
Cool, love it.
And the name will stay the same, it'll be Miller Farm Center because that's what they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mom
So I think-
shops and
Yeah,
keep them the
so
same.
we need to talk, because I'm sure that the board will like to do this, and we've been looking for grant ideas. And if we can tie in this, or we can get money for, water and lunch and buses, and I think we'd get $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 or maybe ask for a 2-year loan and do it a couple of years in there.
That'd be fun.
not alone,
Okay?
not alone.
Grant.
Yeah, no loan, sorry.
The only other, I was gonna say about the budget before we move on is that grants and donations line. Some of the money that comes into there is from our Memorial Tree and Sponsor Tree Program, so that goes into that fund too.
So we do need like an official motion on that, we all support this budget request, so I can put that in the budget document, so it's not staff wants this, it's the commission. It's much better, the community wants this.
So I move that we accept the 2023-24 budget overview as presented.
All in favor?
Well,
I
sorry, let's
second
do the second, yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah, second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
I think Lee is opposed, but.
We can just vote one of the other.
There we go.
Along with the
It's
adult
live,
film.
nobody, it's there forever, it'll be on Facebook page forever.
And Jen asked about the adult films being shown in the park.
It's not the birds and the bees.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And next item on the agenda?
Yeah, Sheriff, you know what this means here.
Staff reports.
Okay, so I sent you guys out my staff report, sorry, I was a little slow getting that done, but it did go out. Mostly, like Barney Bird, I've just been doing class visits and that stuff. The other interesting thing that I did, thanks to school, was I testified at the Oregon Legislature for the Trees Act, which I've never done that before.
Cool.
So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have heard much about the Trees Act, but it's gonna be a pretty substantial piece of legislation. It's gonna really boost urban forestry programs across the state.
Oh, great.
So, yeah.
Creates a funding mechanism,
Increase the funding
that's
mechanism.
good thing.
Where's the money come from?
The feds,
Oh,
All right.
Biden's,
Oh, it's federal.
it's the, Inflation Reduction Act.
Oh, so this, yeah, they were talking about this last month, the 2 women from.
Yes, yeah,
They were talking about that there was gonna be money forthcoming from that, so this is part of it.
yeah. And so, so basically what the Trees Act does, it just creates the vehicle to disseminate that money.
Somehow lowers inflation.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, not as low as some people want, but.
Right.
You gotta put a good name on those bills.
I bet.
Just like trees are infrastructure too, so.
Yeah.
They
trees are.
So when was that?
Oh,
A couple weeks ago.
couple weeks ago.
So my favorite reply was, the lobbyist or the somebody in charge of the bill, so here's the thing. The Oregon Recreation Park Association has a lobbyist, right? So that's our professional organization. And then there's somebody that put this bill together that invited testimony. They said, so I'm on the legislative committee. So during the Zoom call, I said, we have a urban forestry department and it's great, we do all these things. So our lobbyist said to them, well, there's somebody in East Oregon that does this. And they were like, what? We have to have them testify. So then I said, Teresa's the one to do that. And anyway, so long story short, this person, whoever it was, a lobbyist or it wasn't a legislator, but it was some sort of nonprofit group, advocacy group. Anyway, long story short, the email back was, Teresa's amazing, she did great, we love her, want to come visit, and I can't believe that you have an urban forester.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just,
and we have running water.
Yeah, well, and
Electricity.
then rub it in their face and say, hey,
Yeah.
we've got, what are we, the second longest running city for growth award?
I had to cut that out, boy, because when Stu first asked me to do this, I had this thing this long, and I said, you know what, I better find out how much time I have, which
Oh,
is
yeah,
very
they get-
much.
Was it like 2 to 3 minutes?
Oh, yeah, I think 2 was the very top, and so I had to.
Well, when they come out to visit, we can say, not only do we have
I
running
did say
water,
we were a
but-
Tree City USA since 1990, we did make time to get that.
Yeah, and one of the longest ones in the
We
country.
can't invite them over for some sort of reenactment. You don't have running water and.
This is the place where water first came into the city,
Good old
5
long
weeks
skirts.
ago.
But
There couldn't have been anyone against it, was there?
There was not, I mean, who can go against the tree? Well, some people.
Was it recorded?
Yeah.
I assume so, it's state law.
That's what ODOT would have come in against it, probably.
Actually, they picked a
Oh my God.
pretty diverse range of folks, because there was a lot of people that wanted to testify, and they had to cut them off. I was fortunate that I got in on the, before they said, okay, we gotta stop. We gotta
if you were
stop.
scheduled way out.
Yeah, I was scheduled, but they did, and they also had a gentleman from Ontario, so they had two people from Eastern Oregon.
Nice.
But they had a big variety of folks who testified. They had people from any aspect of urban forestry that you can think of, they brought it.
House Bill 3016, you want to follow it? House Bill 3016.
You didn't like the climate change, what is the?
The committee, it's the
Something like
climate, environment, and,
Natural resources.
yeah, Trees Act is just kind of a short name for, because the trees actually stands for something that I don't remember now. Yeah, it was interesting.
Cool.
Okay.
I don't have anything, no, usually.
Do you want tree care education? Oh my gosh, you know what? I didn't even make coffee. I apologize. If there's ever anything that you guys are particularly interested in, and want to shoot me a question, and kind of remind me that I'm supposed to be doing this, that would be great. I will try and be better about sharing information. I will say that, I gave Steve a hard copy of our commission's handbook, and it's got all the most recent Tree City USA bulletins. So, and I've also posted them digitally on that digital commissioner's handbook. So if there's any that you don't have hard copies of, they are in there. If you would like hard copies, I'd be happy to print them. But the Tree City USA bulletins are a real wealth of information. The only ones I've been including are the ones that they've been doing since they kind of revamped the format. Because the Tree City USA bulletins go back. There's like 100 and something of them. And I have them all, but as they go through these, they're kind of updating and revamping and modernizing the bulletin. So anyway, it's a really good resource, and you should be able to access them on that Google Drive that I sent out that link to. And if not, you can go to Artificial Foundation and access them.
The emerald ash borer moving it off.
Oh, I will report on that too, real quickly. Our Oregon Urban Community Forestry Conference this year, our theme is what's budding my tree. And, they, will be focusing on invasive pests with a highlight on emerald ash borer. So we're gonna be looking at what do we do to prepare, what do we do once it's here, what do we do when the trees are gone? So those are kind of the three focuses of the conference. And so I'll be able to share a lot of information with you guys from that.
Because that might be something we need extra money for.
Well, and that's a good point. I was actually gonna ask you, Stu, is there a way that the city could fund commissioners to attend that conference? Is that something the city can do? Because I think the tickets are $150. So if it's June 1st, it's at it's the World Forestry Center in Portland. So if any of you are interested in going to that, I don't know if that's money we could use for grant donations. I don't know how that end of it works. But if any of you are interested in attending that conference, it won't be a live feed just because that's super hard to do. I participated in the Arbor Day, the most recent Arbor Day one, and it was Glitch City. And if the Arbor Day Foundation can't do it, there's no way that we're gonna do it.
So tell me the name of the conference again and when it is.
It's the Oregon Urban and Community Forestry Conference. It's a joint effort between Oregon Community Trees and Oregon Department of Forest Service and the U.S. Forest Service. We do it annually. We missed the first year of COVID. We just said, no, we're not doing it. And then last year we did a virtual conference, which went very well because it wasn't both. It was just a virtual conference, and it went very well. We aren't going to be recording live this year, but we are going to be recording, we're just not going to be streaming it. So it will be available after the conference, probably not the whole thing, just the good stuff.
So that's June 1st to?
Yeah, June 1st is a
Okay.
one-day conference,
Okay.
8 to 3, lunch is provided, snacks.
I have to look at my calendar, but I'd be interested,
Yeah.
if you covered the ticket, my sister-in-law lives in Gresham, not Gresham, in, Gladstone.
That's what I do, my in-laws are in Newburgh.
Yeah, and, you gotta go out 26, you gotta go through the city and then up 26 to get to World Forestry Center, and it can be a little cramped at the wrong time of day.
Oh, yeah,
But the World Forestry Center is really, really cool.
it is.
You can take Max there too, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
you probably
I don't know
could.
if any of you.
That
It's
would
really
almost
cool
be
because you know you're at the
fun.
bottom of a tunnel and you have to go straight up.
That would be actually kind of
It's
fun,
really cool.
because I've never taken the public transportation in Portland, and it would be tough. You think you could pick it up right there on 99 where she lives? Sure.
The other thing too is if any of you do decide to go, we're doing a little pre-thing. Jim Gerspaw, who is the communications specialist at ODF, he's the one that puts out all the news releases for us. He's leading a tree walk, the focus is gonna be on ash trees. Kind of just a
On that same day or the day before?
It's the day before, the day before. So if any of you are interested in that, I think it's like $5 to register. Yeah, that's that.
So that might be something that the next year maybe we need more money for, like if we're gonna be paying for treatments of the ash trees and stuff.
Well, that's gonna be part of what's gonna be going into this emergency management plan.
Okay.
With any luck at all, it won't show up next year. I don't know
Okay.
how soon it's gonna be here. We're fortunate in Eastern Oregon in that we don't have native ash trees. We're not gonna lose our riparian trees. It's just our urban trees that we're gonna have.
So the emergency management has its own fund, because we won't need extra funds for the rest of
I don't know how that.
Consultant, it'll be a budget request.
Yeah.
So the consultant will do the thing, then we'll all talk to the consultant, and the consultant will have some sort of document plan review. It'll be unfunded until.
It'll be unfunded until the crisis happens,
Yeah.
and then they'll have to figure out what
That's
money.
how it usually goes.
But yes,
Hopefully that's
that's
when you guys insert and say, we need funding to address this.
because there'll be treatment of any trees that we do want to save. There'll be contracting to remove the trees that are dying or dead, and then there'll be replacing. And then there'll also be what do we do with this? Because we have 500 ash trees. Wow.
Ooh,
In public property. Who
ooh,
knows how much on private
All
property?
right, they're big, beautiful trees. Like I see them now all over.
And once you get a look at them.
Right now.
Can ash borer be treated systemically?
Yes,
So you
effectively.
put some type of insecticide in the soil and,
In the cambium, it's
Okay.
an injection,
Okay.
it goes right into the cambium of the tree, and it's relatively expensive,
I
and
bet it
so you have to ID the trees, you know, that you want to
Prioritize.
save.
Yeah. it's a good thing we have a big.
Exactly, exactly, and actually, that's one of the things that they'll be talking about at our conference, is the state of Oregon, put in place a statewide, tree inventory database, and they made it available at no charge to municipalities that didn't already have an inventory. And the cool thing is we can also upload our data into it,
Nice.
even though we don't use tree plotter, they can interface, and so I've already sent them all our tree inventory stuff.
Not only do we have running water,
Yes, yeah, tree inventory, of course, that went to ODF, so
Yeah.
they already knew we were here.
Still.
Any other comments? I just know what that's for, okay?
Okay. Let's end the meeting first.
Okay,
Can we do that?
And so, volunteer hours, you can put me down for 30 minutes.
Anybody else? All right, and everybody knew it was for an hour.
And we're gonna adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Ending stream.